Welcome back to Gear and Beer. Today is me and Lindon McCarty twisting and tweaking, as always. Except, actually, he's over here today. What's up, dude?
What's up, man? Cheers.
This is weird. Make it less weird.
I don't know how to do that. Can we... Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We retract it in a little.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's better. It was just like, it was weird.
I'm going to bring it down a little bit because my nose is up there.
Bring it down out of your nose. We'll get plenty of audio from your nose. There you have it. Thank you. Good night. No, but yeah, I don't know if we cheers.
We did. We can cheers again.
We can toast. Cheers.
Toast.
Whatever.
That's right.
Depends on which pretentious guitar player you're talking to.
Looking at you, Mark.
So what's up, man?
Man, nothing. Just been dealing with this red-bearded fuck all day.
Oh, that's true. Well, I guess I can go ahead and mark this one.
Can I say
explicit.
fuck on here?
You just did twice. I'll go ahead and mark that one explicit right out of the bat. We decided that we were just going to do this one without a guest because it was so close to the holidays. I guess this will come out 2 days after Christmas.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that we did like Santa in an elf hat or something.
I thought about that, but it wouldn't come out in time.
Right.
I definitely have a Nutcracker sweater. So we've got that going for us. Yeah. Looks like our tech is back.
Yeah.
The dog is now laying where our feet should go. But anyway, so we're just going to kind of, rehash a little bit and talk about what we got coming in the new year.
Yeah, it's very exciting. We got some great guests.
You got a new guitar from your sponsorship the other day, and this not his sponsorship, not this podcast. Please sponsor this podcast.
Yeah.
And you got your Kemper, of course. We did some jamming, which was fun. I like to jam.
That jam was super fun.
We've been trying to get that going with the guests, and I guess since I can't remember when we started that, but it wasn't at the beginning,
right?
And just kind of trying to feel that out. And I've only released a couple of them. I was thinking that they may go on the Patreon page for patrons and supporters of this podcast, or we could work something out, figure out a way to post them and just give a little more back to the people who are actually supporting and listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
Because we enjoy making them, and
there's some great jams in there, man.
There are some good jams, and
that Rob McNelly.
Yeah. Oops, sorry, Luca. I just kicked the dog right in the ribs. Sorry, dude.
Dog.
Yeah, the McNelly jam was a lot of fun. I actually posted that one on my personal page because I kind of had a flow set up on our Instagram, but that's about to change too. We got a new logo coming.
Oh, yeah. Whole bunch of new looks coming.
And
who did that again?
So that's actually my neighbor. She's TikTok famous. I don't know what her handle is, but because I'm not on TikTok. But I'll find it and I'll put it in the show notes because she definitely will have designed the new stuff, and she actually put together all of the graphic stuff for the thumbnails and whatever.
They look great, man. She killed it.
So the new stuff ideas. Looks a lot cleaner and better. Shout out to my homie, the Glue Gun Gangster, Miss Dina Stormer, who designed our first thing, and she's designed a lot of cool stuff for me.
Yeah, the Bobby Jam logo.
The Bobby Jam's kitchen is her. The stickers on the front of this amp,
that's right.
Or this pedal board case are her. The ones of me,
my
anyway.
Favorite.
Yeah, those are great. She does amazing work, and she has a little I don't know what kind of this cute little company called Hearts and Sharts, and her tagline is "a little cute, a little unexpected."
There's a hair sticking out.
It's probably from this dog.
Probably dog hair, yeah.
Dog hair everywhere. So don't worry about that if I ever try to sell you one of these microphones. Beer, as always, is required, except for when it isn't.
What is this?
This is a local brewery. No, it's not that one. It's the other one.
Blackberry Farms.
Yeah, that
yeah,
one.
This is a good one.
It is a good one. I've been drinking it lately. It goes down smooth. It's nice. A little strength to it.
Mm-hmm.
I like IPAs to be
high octane,
or at least not low.
Right.
Like
7 and above.
Six is about as low of octane as I want to drink because the flavor is so heavy. I feel like it's weird if you don't like if it doesn't put that on you. Otherwise, it's just like it makes my stomach feel weird. I feel like
I agree with that, man. Like the full flavor low octane IPAs, just like I can do like maybe one of them and it's not even that enjoyable usually. But like double IPAs, Imperial IPAs. Yeah, man.
I used to like the session ones, but if you're drinking beer over a long period of time, it's a lot easier to nurse a beer like this for me. And the other ones, they just don't work the same.
I guess he decided to move 2 feet.
Comfortable. I don't know.
We need a doggy cam.
We need to get a GoPro harness that faces him.
Right.
And we'll just get it wireless, and he can just go wherever he wants.
Let's check in with a word from our sponsors, and it's just the dog cam.
Yeah, dog cam, just walking around or drinking some water.
Chewing on some shit he shouldn't be chewing on.
Yeah, that's probably. Well, hey.
I thought he was about to grab that cable.
Hey, don't chew on stuff.
Why are you pouting?
Say, I don't know, bro. He's been boarded, as you know, since you picked him up. So he was extremely excited when we got home last night.
Oh, my God.
That's a good boy.
There you go.
Hell yeah. So we got some good guests coming up. More stuff, things,
content,
better. Segments. What are those?
Segments like the Instagram stuff that you were showing me.
Oh,
yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's right.
We're not gonna.
We got segments coming.
Everything.
What you guys know about segments? We're just trying to cater to those fans of both gear and beer, and as anyone who's checked out this podcast probably knows, it's like we're also like it's a lot of stories and like conversation, and sometimes we think about checking out some gear. It's almost like it's hard when people ask me what's the podcast about. I'm like, well, I don't know.
It's a little self-explanatory, but it's not completely self-explanatory because
it's a lot more than
what
just
the guest feels
gear
like doing.
And beer. Sure, and we've had multiple guests that have brought nothing at all.
Right.
And that's just the way that goes sometimes. And the whole point of it is we're talking to people in the industry, both players and production side. I'm working on getting an engineer scheduled that I actually worked with when we did that session at Sound Emporium with Dan recently, and I'd not met him before, and he's great, and he's worked on some great stuff.
Cool, man.
He's like a super knowledgeable engineer, so we're going to have him in. We've got a few guitar players in this next month, some super popular social and like YouTube dudes, and who else? I just booked somebody.
Yeah, I sent you I think six or seven dudes.
I think you said the names to me. I don't think you sent anything.
Okay.
To me. We talked about.
We'll get some of those people on too. I think there was a couple drummers in there maybe as well.
Drummers. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just serious.
Looking at you, Drummio nominated Billy.
Yeah, and Matt Krause and your whatever your podcast is. Yesterday,
is it the Working Drummer?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay.
But I say that because yesterday, we're he and I playing a group together, and in that group thread, I was asking if this one gig was public or not, and he said that. What does it matter? You don't have any friends anyway. So I sent him a picture of his Working Drummer podcast and then a trash can in the Phoenix airport where I was when he sent that text. I said, I guess this trash can in PHX just got a little bit fuller. And I proceeded to call him Trash Boy and say he had a trash face. And then I sent a picture or a GIF of a trash can.
How many beers deep were you in at this point?
I'd only had one.
Okay.
I had a burrito for breakfast that put me out till I got back here.
Dude, speaking of trash, that Phoenix airport
sucks.
It is not fun. The workers.
If you're listening,
on strike.
Phoenix Airport, get better.
Get bent.
No, get better. You are bent.
Also, like, just maybe fold to the union because they were on strike last time I was there.
Oh, really?
And I got literally two. If you imagine like just a stale loaf of bread and you cut off the ends, just take that middle part, throw it away. Take those shitty little ends. Put them close together so you've got about 5 inches of a sandwich that just really sucks. And then only put the shittiest meat and cheese and nothing else that you can on it and charge $17. That's what I had.
That sounds like the Phoenix Airport.
Yeah.
The place that we had a beer yesterday, their kitchen was closed. They were out of the first beer that Aaron wanted. They were out of the first beer that I wanted.
Yeah.
That's how I was going at Phoenix Airport yesterday. We did have there's this place in Phoenix, and there's a few of them around now. There's actually, I think there's one in Grapevine. I know there's one in Grapevine somewhere. It's called Lolo's Chicken and Waffles. It's original to the Phoenix area. There's a Mrs. Smith's Diner, which is like a really like old fixture in Phoenix, and this is her son or something.
That's not
grandson.
what's the chicken and waffles place that had jazz gigs in Dallas? You know what I'm talking about? It might be
Buttons.
Yeah, I think that might be it.
Buttons was like a New Orleans or like a Louisiana kitchen.
No, man, there was one that had brunch that was like chicken and waffles, basically.
I did not play there.
Tashiana used to play there a bunch. I don't know.
I mean, I know who that is, but
Yeah.
I got nothing for you.
Okay.
Anyway, there's some cool stuff to do in Phoenix. Went to a great brewery that I believe I tagged on the Instagram called Wilderness. They actually charged me twice for our tab, so we're going to be taking care of that tomorrow. But
fun. Good thing you checked, man.
Well, my business manager is all over that shit. She does. That's her thing. She is all on it, and we're thankful for that. I'm good at buying the stuff to put in this room. She's good at yelling at me for it.
Yeah, making sure that you don't do it too much.
Yeah, making sure that I don't do it as much as I otherwise would be doing it. Spin myself into oblivion. Man, I had something that I did want to ask you. Well, I guess we may as well just like, why don't you do the funnest thing ever and just kind of tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
All right.
Because they've heard you talk. You know, they kind of know that you're a dick and everything, but why don't you just tell us where it came from?
Well, fuck you very much. No, I'm from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I thought I was about to go like this.
The magistrate of Mississippi, Mr. Lindon McCarty on guitar.
Thank you for not saying the Grand Wizard of Mississippi.
Yeah, I don't use that term.
Okay. So I'm from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, but I lived, as you know, in Texas a bunch growing up. So born in Hattiesburg, moved to Midland, Texas when I was like maybe 4.
Worst place ever. Shout out to Midland.
Yeah, shout out to Midland. I would say get better, but I just know you can't.
Great band, terrible city.
And then lived in Houston for a couple of years, came back to Hattiesburg in like 7th grade. And then
finished out school there before you went to college.
Yeah, I went to college for 2 years at Southern Miss. Shout out Southern Miss. And then went to University of North Texas for the rest of college.
And you were like similar to me. You were kind of like a rocker metal dude.
Yeah, I mean, I got into jazz and stuff when I was in high school, but I was into like punk rock, and I played a lot in the metal scene, especially that kind of like
Southern sludgecore, Ultra Doom, stoner.
I mean, we were opening for like relapse bands, so like not for Mastodon, but like Mastodon was on that label.
That's a label.
Yeah.
Like
Relapse
Metal
Records
Edge
was the original label that Mastodon was on before Leviathan came out. So I grew up in that scene, and then
before that's the song Leviathan by Midlake came out.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
And then went to UNT. I mean, you know all this, but like I met Mike League in Mississippi when Snarky Puppy came through, and Mike League is the person who told me about UNT.
Oh, okay.
So when I first came to Dallas, Mike and Justin Stanton and Nate Worth and a couple of other dudes that were in the band at that point were like Steve Pruitt. The
financial boy.
Yeah.
Pruitt Financial.
They were, I think it's spelled different, but they were, the only people I knew. So like Mike was basically like, come out to these jam sessions. So I drove them to jam sessions.
You're talking about like Gazelle and Teeny Bar?
Yeah.
And, whatever that other
the
place.
The first one was the Walrus, which was RC's jam.
Right,
RC.
That moved to the Profit
Grits.
Bar.
Yep.
Yeah, which became the Profit Bar Jam that's been going on in Dallas and still goes on to this day.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, even though I don't think it's called that anymore.
And is
oh no, they closed their doors. It's gone.
Okay. I mean, they went through so many iterations.
I'm sure that they moved that jam somewhere.
Yeah.
I have to find out where that is.
Do you know if who would be running that jam now? Because it was Bernard Wright for a long time.
Well, the Monday jam is still the Funky Knuckles. That's every Monday at 3 Links. But the Profit Bar Jam was Wednesdays, and that's RC's thing still to this day.
So RC,
if it occurs, it's RC.
RC had a thing, and then the Gazelle Pussycat Lounge thing was Bernard and
Wes and
Wes
John
and
Carruth.
Yeah. And that, I mean, this
that's
is
the coolest
like
thing that I ever seen.
Pre-YouTube, really, like some of the most memorable nights of music I've ever had. Man.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And like absolutely the genesis of the sound of bands like Snarky Puppy and the Funky Knuckles
100%
was and any of those guys would tell you like Bernard Wright.
Absolutely.
Kind of the godfather of that scene. So anyway,
I'll definitely make some show notes about Bernard.
Oh man, if we can find some videos of that stuff, man,
there's plenty. I'll definitely
from those days, man.
We can work on that after we're done filming.
That's some inspirational shit right there.
Because we were actually we can work on that while we profile an amp.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're gonna profile some Kemper stuff for this wall of sound back here.
Yeah, we got all those things. We're gonna make digital copies of them, see how they stand up.
Man, so after school, after UNT, I did one semester of grad school, was like, fuck this, I'm not writing academic papers, I want to play guitar. Moved to Chicago, and then for 7 years, I lived there. I started off doing like, I think country cover bands, which is how I first got into playing country.
Yeah.
Even though I grew up, hearing country music, I wasn't really necessarily a fan.
But nobody I knew listened to country.
And, I kind of like started to realize, even though I was still playing jazz gigs and stuff, like, hey, I like other styles of music and they're just as challenging and, fruitful of a musical experience. He's passed out.
Yeah.
And then I met this guy named Adam Ness, and who's a just phenomenal vocalist and kind of musical genius. And I started working with him as his guitarist, MD, and then later when we did an album as his producer for the first and kind of like part of the second, and then like one song of his third album.
Okay.
And so I really I met a lot of the guys in the gospel scene there.
Which record did the song that was on the HBO show come off of?
That came off the first album. And that was a Showtime show. The Shy.
Oh, the Shy was?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
the Shy.
yeah.
So the song's called Blush. It was definitely our most successful, but we co-wrote that whole album.
I'll put a link to that.
Yeah. And there's, a ton of work. I think with him, he and I probably wrote 40 or 50 songs together and maybe released 20 of those songs, maybe less than that, honestly. We had a lot of material, and we still have talked about like releasing some of the other stuff. So I really learned a lot about like production and playing other styles, like really just like anything that wasn't jazz, like how to be the percussionist in a band when you're like playing guitar, because the role is different, right?
Sure.
Like you're not just comping, like you're not playing whatever comes to mind, like you're expected to play like a part and play repetitively and sit in the pocket with a drummer, stuff like that.
You should be doing that. I don't care what kind of music you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying that in jazz, I guess like it's a lot more selfish of a music, and like it can be. And I was approaching it that way. I was playing like very modern, like New Yorky type stuff, and I still love that stuff. But it really opened my ears and my mind to playing a different way, and to be able to like flip a switch off and flip another one on, and really like be able to play a gig without somebody realizing that you can play other styles.
Sure.
So yeah, did all that.
Just because you can play one style so authentically.
Exactly.
And that's always been my motto. I'm sure I've told you, and maybe even said on this podcast. It's like, whoever is on the other end of that phone calling me saying, hey, can you fill in the blank? Like, I want to be able to say yes.
Yeah.
Whether it's, Jack Pearson calling me to come play rhythm guitar or bass in his band, or which hasn't never happened. That was just the first thing that came to mind. Or if Herbie Hancock needs me to play marimba, like whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I
can't do that. I can't play marimba.
I can't play marimba. It's
calls.
Also like down here on the list of things I'd want to do.
I don't. Yeah. No offense, Gary Burton, but I'm not playing. I'm not into it.
Not playing your stupid instrument.
I'm not playing your dinosaur bone glockenspiel.
Also, though, you and I met
from the Flintstones.
You and I met at Ben Bajorquez's birthday party
at his house across the highway
in Dallas,
from my
which
house.
I was temporarily living at for like 6 months, somewhere between 3 and 6 months. After school. Well, I lived at his place for a little bit, and I lived at Mike Luzecki's place for a little bit after school. We met somewhere in there, and then I moved to Chicago, and then you came through Chicago with different groups. And
for a minute there, I was there like all the time.
Yeah, you came through one year, like, felt like 8 times or something.
Yeah, it was a bunch. It was like every 6 weeks or something.
And I'd come out and watch you play, sit in, we'd kick it, get food, or whatever. And then I moved here 2019. You hooked my ass up with a bunch of gigs.
Was it really that recently?
July 2019, yeah.
It seemed like it was long.
July 1st, 2019. Mm-hmm.
I moved here July 24th, 2014.
Okay.
So I've been here for 5 years, I guess, at that point. In this weird town.
Yeah. It's been a change, but it's cool, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool place to live as a musician. There's all kind of stuff going on. You can make all kinds of work for yourself. If you want to play super fusion gigs, maybe pick another city. Other than that, there's just a lot of touring acts based out of here. There's if you know a bunch of songs and have done the party band or the dance band thing somewhere else, or the wedding band,
which is what I did in Chicago a lot.
Then there's work for you on Broadway.
Yeah,
there's
wedding band stuff here too.
Yeah, that there is. But if you want to do wedding band stuff, this is not the place for that.
Yeah,
I
would say
Dallas.
Chicago as well. There was it's a destination wedding type spot.
Well, the deal with the Dallas bands is they just fly them all over the place.
I didn't know they flew them
Emerald
out. Okay.
City is a giant brand now that has multiple bands in multiple cities.
Yeah. They exist in Chicago and
totally
Blue Water Kings in
they
Chicago,
fly them all over
Emerald
the place.
Empire here.
Emerald City at one point 10 or 15 years ago was getting like $75,000 a show or something as just a corporate band, but a really good one and a very big one. And that whole scene is just, it's very cool, and you can make a lot of money, and there's some really good players in it. But the gigs themselves are just not very rewarding because it's the same thing every night, 2 tracks. Maybe you get a solo, maybe you don't. Some of the cool wedding bands have like the jazz set where you're actually like playing standards and you can do a little soloing and there's no tracks and you're being
we did
musician.
we would do like cocktail hours and stuff, and our band was I subbed with the Chicago version of that band, and they were great, but I played with my main one was called Greenlight in Chicago, and it was the this drummer named Neil Wayman and this bass player Brian Doherty, and then the rest of the band is just like, everybody was just so super killing, but particularly those 2 dudes were
That's the same band with Kurt Elling's piano player?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they were just like, so amazing as players. Like I felt like I was really good when I came in, and then when I came in, I was like, holy crap, like these guys are like schooling me, and I had to like come up to their even like Neil called me one day and he was like, dude, you got to step it up. And in terms of like locking in with the rhythm section, you know, like playing like a percussionist, so that was a big part of that too, was like, you know, doing like dance and party. I think when you say
playing like a percussionist, that's a weird way to think of it for me. It's like,
well, thinking as a drummer, like rhythm first, right?
Well, but I don't. Like, I don't think that should ever not be the first thing that you're thinking about, because if it doesn't feel good, it doesn't matter what comes next.
Yeah. Well, I think that if you listen to a lot of, like, there's a lot of jazz musicians that, even like some really, really good ones that I respect a lot and love, if you listen to their playing, they don't sit in the pocket a lot of times. And that, I found, was in that world was not as much of a priority as maybe it should be. No, I'm not saying that they're all that way. There are plenty of guys that are.
I can't think of anybody that I listen to that.
I'm not going to name names because I love so many of those dudes. I don't want to denigrate anybody. It's just a mindset, right?
I'm also not a jazz scholar. At what Wes Stevenson calls a really good musical liar.
Wes says that about himself, but.
Yeah, he said, but it's certainly more true about me than it is about him. He's what you call a musical assassin.
Yeah, he's a genius in many genres.
Yeah, he's ridiculous for sure.
But
I'd love to get him on here someday, but he doesn't leave his house unless someone pays him to.
That's all I mean is like you're playing the role of as a guitar. Okay, for example, on like "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough," you know, that like dun, dun, boom, ba, dun, dun, that thing. You're locked in. That's your part. You know, you're playing that part, and it is your pattern. So, like, in the same way that a percussionist has a pattern that they're playing that locks in, and you can improvise around the pattern, but the pattern exists. Or like a clave guy.
There's like a nuance in that part too, right?
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, he pushes the second half.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And
been a minute since I played that, but I used to know it.
That part, you know, like that horn part.
Yeah.
Like just shit like that. Like having to really lock that in with a band with two people who were like well above my level at that point was like that was such an eye-opening experience for me. Was just getting you know, educated every single time I played a gig with them. And we did 70 gigs a year. So I did that for 3 years. So I mean, we probably played, you know, over 200 weddings.
210 to be precise.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't exactly 70 a year, but you know what I mean.
70 years, what you said. No, you can't backtrack. You were kind of finishing up talking about playing and learning to lock in.
Oh, yeah, like talking about, like, wedding bands and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, anyway, it was just, that was a great experience, and I think, like, all of that, in particular, so things like playing with gospel players, but not on their gospel gigs.
Yeah.
I was playing like their bar gigs. You know, like we had this thing called Soul Sessions, which was every Sunday at Revel Room, which is a bar at if any Chicago people know, it's the corner of Milwaukee and North Avenue. And it was this just tiny bar, but basically like anybody who was good enough to, and plenty of people who I guess weren't, like, and didn't realize it, like basically the idea of the jam session was you come in and there's a house rhythm section. The house rhythm section maybe plays half a set, and everything is the motto was no cover, no covers. So you didn't pay to get in, and you couldn't play any covers. You had to make something up. And the dudes that came in were the most burnin'-ass players in the city. And I got to be in the house band like half the time. I shared the chair with Anders Nordstrom, who is, shout out Anders, one of the best guitar players I've ever met in my life. He plays for Jonathan McReynolds and maybe Fred Hamilton, but gospel dude.
Yeah.
And amazing person and guitar
McReynolds
player.
is kind of like that mega church worshipy gospel crossover.
It's a little bit of crossover, but very modern gospel vibes.
Yeah, they
the most
use a lot of
band.
Cool harmony stuff. As far as like chords,
guys would come in, like Kendrick Lamar's bass player would come in and sit in, dudes like heavy dudes like that,
right.
And so you had to really like what?
Some of them hitters.
Some of the hitters. I say sister. So those dudes would. So you had to really like know your stuff and like have a good ear, because the harmony is like, they're not fucking around. Like, that's some serious harmony.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, rhythmically, everybody's super on point too. So that was a good learning experience. Just trying to sound good in that and in that whole thing. So I think all of that, long story short, over prepared me for coming to Nashville, where like obviously like we're not like, we're playing country music, which can be complicated, but it's not that level of complicated, but it's good, because I feel like any gig that, and you're kind of the same way, like you've got a great ear for harmony, you've got great time, because you've had a very similar experience.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Like
1, 2, 3, 4.
But you can go into pretty much any gig situation on Broadway, or in like somebody could call you for a weekend run, and all you got to do is hear the song a couple times, and you're like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, but I like to come in and play every lick and fill and thing on the record that I can.
I would prefer that, but it makes you a very hireable person.
Yeah, and I say that, but I also feel comfortable going into a gig with someone who can, before we go out, be like, either talk me through stuff, or at the beginning of every song, be like, yo, it's this feel, here's the sig lick, yep, or whatever.
Which is what you did for me when I first moved here and we played Broadway gigs together.
It can be that simple just to get through a song for some money on a cover gig, for sure. That's certainly not how you want to like present yourself on the road in an original.
I mean, if you're
act,
if you're in an artist gig, right. No, you're learning the parts for that one.
I say that, and there are a couple of artists, at least one artist that I know of for sure, that likes it by the seat of their pants, and I'll tell you off camera who it is.
I'm interested to know.
Like, it would be a really cool gig. It was one that I thought I had for a second, and then some other stuff happened.
I think I know.
And it was. I think it's cool. I think that certain kinds of music lend themselves to that, and other kinds of music don't.
Does his name rhyme with the final boss on Mario?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can cut that out if you want.
Yeah, Godzilla. Definitely. So the point I was trying to make, I can't remember.
Yeah, cool. One beer deep. Here we go.
Yeah, I've had one beer today. Doing great. I honestly don't remember what I was just talking about. But, so, and...
Oh, we were talking about, parts on, learning parts on artist gigs and stuff like that.
What I was going to say, actually, I do remember my point now. It's like, even on gigs where, like, it needs to be by the book, and, like, I feel like radio songs need to be, like, radio songs. You play the solo, you play the fills, unless that is, as a group, or the MD or the artist says, we're going to take it in this direction and then go from there.
Sure.
But otherwise, that should be the thing. I think that there are songs that you play that are album songs, and even sometimes to a certain, like if it's a radio song and it's some sort of burner where there's solos and trading or anything like that, I think that lends itself to be a lot more fun if the people are improvising that or taking solos in that instance. But if it's a mid-tempo, kind of just a mid-tempo radio tune, like whatever that solo is, let's just go ahead and play it, or whatever that kick drum pattern and bass pattern
and
is.
I like to do that on Broadway too, man. If time affords.
Again, like when it's a song, when it's a standard, and it goes a certain way. Now, it's so hard to do that on Broadway because
it's not
unless you
not
play
for
with the
every
same
song.
people exactly every time, which I do some. You just kind of have to like do your best, and depending on what instrument you're playing, obviously I'm playing multiple down there. It's if you're playing a chordal instrument and it's a guitar, a bass player, a drummer, and a singer who either does or does not play acoustic guitar or piano, which almost no one plays piano anymore. Like certain songs you can't play like the record because you don't have 4 guitar parts, 2 keyboards, steel guitar, and fiddle.
Yeah, so you're making like an amalgamation of parts just to fill it out.
So, but you in those instances, you like really need to have a smart head about how to approach that, and still like. Maybe you lay out completely in the first verse, and then the second verse you play some fills, or the first verse you're playing very sparsely rhythm guitar, and in the second verse you take fills, and then you ornament the sig lick on the outro or something to move it along because you don't have all these other instruments.
Right. Some other way to make it exciting.
Thinking about that,
and have the concept of dynamics.
Just like a producer or a musician should in a studio session. You're like, okay, we can't just do this same thing over and over again without moving it along. Now, in the studio, you can move a song along in a bunch of different ways that you can't necessarily do in a live scenario. So you just have to, like, just to the best of your ability, use that kind of a brain and approach to doing the song live, and it'll just come across so much better and still feel right and full.
You know what's been interesting that I've been realizing, because I just got that Kemper, and I've been using it a ton lately on the road, and then I've been taking it to Broadway lately, and on Broadway it sounds great for, compared to, like, no shade to Line 6, but compared to the HX Stomp that I have, it sounds spectacular. It sounds like there's a real amp in my ears.
Sure.
But there's still not a real amp on stage. And I found that on the road, because we're using, like, not super heavy tracks, but we're using a fair amount of tracks. And, like, for instance, last time we brought our own sound guy, and we're typically playing venues with a line array, like somewhere between 3 and 6 speaker line array, or more, like a really banging sound system.
Yeah.
And a dedicated monitor, dedicated front of house. The Kemper in that situation works so well.
Sure.
Because
there's enough air is being moved around you.
It's so dialable, and yes, exactly. There's enough air being moved around me on stage that if I don't have the on-stage volume, it's spectacular.
I see. When my big problem with that live is there's a certain interaction between the air moving out of an amp that's hitting your body and your guitar that and it changes the way the guitar reacts or the bass reacts. It changes the way your feel is in your playing.
Well, I mean, it literally is like creating a feedback loop that even if it's not feeding back, there's still that loop created. And there's, like you said, there's like this like harmonic, just frequency interaction between your pickups and the speaker that's behind you or in front of you. So I was going to say, like, we did the first gig I did with Sean Stemaly, we did the Tortuga Music Festival, and they left at Fort Lauderdale. They left the speaker, the wedges on, and normally that band doesn't play with wedges.
Sure.
But we just did it for that gig, and or at least we did it in soundcheck, and it sounded just super full,
Yeah.
And they turned it off, and it was like in soundcheck, I think, they turned it off in soundcheck, and it was like meh. And then when we played the gig, they had front of house on, so you've got all this reflection coming because it was in a tent. So then that interaction was there, and it was great. But I've noticed, I was going to say, on Broadway, when I have this thing, as great as the Kemper sounds, I don't have that because, like, for example, like Whiskey Row, like, no shade to them, but like they mix the guitar pretty low in that room typically, and the ear situation is mono, it's not stereo.
Right.
So like you were talking about like just the dynamics of a band, and like how you kind of have to think about what your role is and like the number of people on stage, whether you're using tracks or not. All that is a factor, and a huge factor for me on Broadway is I've realized if I can have a real amp on Broadway, I'm going to just do it, because
you can.
You can, and the sound guys usually don't like it, but I'm at the point where I'm
not their choice.
It's not their choice, and I'm respectful enough to not blast my amp. Because I know what sounds good. And
it's not even a matter of respect. It's what is appropriate.
Well, I'm saying, in
a stage like downtown where everyone's face is right at the level of a guitar speaker, you just baffle it.
Yeah.
In almost every case.
Yeah.
Or you play something this big or smaller.
But that bigness or that illusion of dynamics or whatever, or just not even illusion, just actual dynamics that you can create with a 4-piece, it's so much harder to do it when you're just in the ears.
Totally.
And you have no stage volume, because they're mixing those guitars so low that harmonic and frequency interaction between the pickups,
it doesn't exist. There's no air moving. You don't have instantaneous physical reaction from what the sound that you are or should be creating by striking the string or this pickup, etc.
So yeah, man,
sending it to
I
a
love
boom
it.
box.
I now understand why Rob Music brings just a cabinet with him.
Now the guy Dennis that I play with some too does.
He brings a real cabinet, right?
Yeah, he built a cabinet. I forget what speaker he said he put in there. It might be an EV or something, but it's a guitar speaker. It's not a full range speaker like
it's not a flat
says
response.
That you should. Yeah. And I don't think I have not heard that sound right. And that's just me, and it doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah.
But except for it does. But they do in ears sound good if we were sitting here playing through it, which we will in a moment.
Yeah.
And when there's not a bunch of other cluttering frequencies, and you can feel the guitar vibrating on your body.
Yeah.
Like it's a little easier in that scenario. You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
Whereas the live setting where there's thundering subs and no on stage guitar speakers or bass amp or even vocal monitors or whatever, it's just all in ears. Side fill, people on big stages, they use side fills and in ears. Why do they do that? To get the frequencies interacting with their guitar so that playing their instruments, even
literally, like, it's not just perception, it's physical. It's like it's
physics, bitch.
There's like sustain that you can, otherwise you're not going to get, right?
Totally not without compression anyway, and even that's only going to work.
It's only
to a certain
so much.
extent.
Yeah. Well, you want to get a beer?
See you later. Yeah,
let's get a beer.
Okay. You are listening to the Gear and Beer Podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Bobby Jam's Kitchen. Want to take your home cooking to the next level? Need new recipe ideas or meal inspiration? Like, follow, and subscribe to Bobby Jam's Kitchen on YouTube and Instagram at Bobby Jam's Kitchen. Cook your food and eat it. You brought your signature McCarty McCarty PRS here.
Yeah.
The army green or hunter green or whatever color you would call that.
I think their official name for this color is metallic green.
Except for...
Or maybe metallic olive green.
I don't know where they're getting the metallic from.
I've only ever seen this color on double
Jeeps
cut.
At wartime.
On General Patton's ass.
On U.S. Army Jeeps.
Yeah. No, but it's a really great guitar. It's a the full name, I guess, would be PRS McCarty 594 single cut.
Oh.
It's got, I believe, I may be wrong. I'm sorry, PRS, if this is wrong, but I believe it is Gibson scale.
So it's the 24 3/4 and not the PRS patented 25.
So. Yeah,
patented. I don't think it's patented, but that's what they do. Their guitars is 25.
I know that they make one of their guitars to that scale.
Interesting.
And to the
it would make sense with the Les Paul.
Yeah,
very similarly shaped body.
It's like a Les Paul that stays in tune
and controls. Yeah,
yeah, and it's it's got push pull on both humbuckers. It's vintage low output pickups. I think these pickups are specifically designed for the McCarty 594 line. And yeah, PRS generously sent me this last week. And they've been great to deal with. They're just super duper nice people.
Every person that I've talked to that's dealt with them says that. The guy that I dealt with when I got mine, however long ago, I don't even want to honestly talk about how long ago that was, is no longer with the company and hasn't been in like 12 years. So. Mm-hmm. They probably do things a little differently these days.
But yeah, shout out to Rich Hannon.
Yeah, so play something, jackass.
Yeah. Okay, so...
and this is through your Kemper with 6 compressors, 3 AC30s, and a couple of Dumbles and a Marshall, right? All at the same time.
Yeah, right.
That's how Kemper works.
This
right?
This is the preset that is 7 metal zones in series, all turned on and
and dimed. Except for the bass is turned all the way down in honor of Eddie Van Halen.
And this is what that sounds like.
This is what that is sound like.
This is what that is sounding like. No, this is what is it? I believe it doesn't say right now, but I believe that this is an AC30 on the Bright channel.
Okay.
I use basically only Michael Britt profiles.
Okay.
They're as far I haven't had a Kemper for that long, so I'm kind of a noob to it. But all the best profiles that I found so far are the Michael Britt ones. So yeah, this is an AC30. It's got compression. I put in a preamp and a post-amp EQ. They're nothing crazy. It's just like one is like a little bit of a mid-boost pre, and then the one in post is I usually do a high cut at somewhere between 13K and 16K. And that's just to dial out for any sort of breakup. I find that digital stuff tends to
get the weird crispies.
Yeah, you get weird crispies and
unpleasurable.
Yeah, and I mean, especially on an AC30, I probably have a 13K cut in here, just because you already get so much high end. So yeah, there's that, and then I think there's like a room sound on here from the jam earlier, and then like a spring reverb. So nothing crazy,
This is bridge pickup, wide open?
This is wide open bridge pickup. I'll take you through the different pickup settings. So
take me.
So bridge pickup. Here is both of them.
Middle position.
Sounds nice, actually. I haven't done a lot here.
It's full. It almost has a little more clarity on top from that neck pickup, which is rarely how that works.
And then finally neck.
But wait, there's more.
Oh wait.
Coil taps on each pickup. So let's hear the pickup with the tap, and then let's hear in phase with the other pickup as well.
Okay. Yeah.
That'll be a different
I haven't even tried that yet, actually. Okay.
So this is neck pickup, wide open with the coil tap.
Actually, let's do this.
Yeah. Untap the bridge.
Untap the bridge?
Oh, yeah,
like
that? Tap the neck, and here, give me the middle position.
Yeah, so here's middle position, untapped bridge.
I tell you what, you play for a second and let me twist. That's full humbucker middle position. That's the tapped neck. It definitely leans strattier tones. It's not the same, but it's pretty stratty for that guitar. Go back to playing that same chord thing. So that's fully engaged. Now let's tap the bridge. And the bridge kind of is overpowered by the neck when it's tapped.
I agree.
Whereas the opposite way, I think it works really well.
Yeah, this one. I like that one, yeah.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's got some booty on it, even though it's like...
Let's tap them both. All right, cool. Now let's hear that bridge pickup with the tap.
I like that one too.
It's functional. I like the tapped settings of those pickups better for my personal
than the
ear.
Untapped ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Untapped they just seem a little darker, like to my ear. Or they seem significantly darker to my ear. I obviously have a slightly brighter tone than a lot of people too, so take that with a grain of salt.
I feel like the tap settings are obviously, it's like, it's not exactly like a Stratocaster, right?
Yeah, but it leans.
Yeah, and it doesn't. I wouldn't even call it. Sometimes coil taps to me can sound a little sterile or a little bit like too mid-rangey or something. Like there's this weird, almost like a guitar just straight into a PA type sound. This doesn't have that to me, but it's not quite like a straight up Strat.
Sure.
It's still like, it's got a lot of clarity and it's
punchy,
super clean.
Like a, what's it called? Like a humbucker too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You hear a lot of pick sound on it.
Yeah.
And that probably is like the compression still coming from the humbucker.
Let's hear an overdrive sound with that bridge.
Yeah, let me do this. Let's see.
Yeah, do this. You can do this. Lindon's doing a little tap dancing. I'm petting the dog.
So this is another Michael Britt profile. This is a 72 Marshall. I don't know what the amp model is, to be honest. Some sort of 72 Marshall. You probably could hear it more than I could.
Sure.
And that's just with an EQ, like, it's kind of like a cut through the mix EQ, I think is what it's called in Kemper. And then obviously just probably like a quarter note delay, and then a little bit of spring reverb, I think. Maybe that's like a room verb. But yeah, it gets a out. having a doggy meltdown over here.
Lay down.
But yeah, I love it, man. This guitar is perfect for what I need it to do. And
plays great. I played it earlier.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And like I said, it stays in tune. Like I love my Gibsons. I have a Gibson 339 custom shop and a Les Paul Special double cutaway. That are both just fantastic guitars, but I feel like I can't take them on the road because they're constantly going out of tune.
Yeah.
Especially if there is any kind of inclement weather condition, be it high humidity or, if it's cold, a little too hot or a little too cold.
Yeah.
Then the friction of my hands heating up the string is going to cause a lot of tuning issues in addition to like the wood swelling and all that stuff.
I think putting any guitar in those kind of conditions is going to result in that kind of a thing.
But I've noticed a lot more stability with this instrument.
People say that. My Les Paul stays in tune great. It just weighs as much as I do.
Yeah. Well, I have a Les Paul Special, so it's a construction-wise a lot different from an actual Les Paul. I consider them completely different guitars.
And you've changed the nut and had special nuts made and slotted and everything, and done all the stuff that you can do.
I haven't done all the stuff that I need to do. I'm gonna try. I think I'm gonna start with
start with the nut if you haven't done the nut. Don't even forget the sauce. Get somebody that knows what they're doing. Get them, to make you the nut that it needs, so that you don't get it's not catching,
not the binding,
and you may if the slot is not the right size and made the right way, it doesn't. No amount of nut slot sauce or whatever you're talking about, or pencil graphite or whatever you want to put in there is going to work.
Yeah,
because it'll eventually, whatever that substance is, evaporates to the point that you're in the same place, perhaps even worse with whatever residue it could leave behind.
Yeah.
So you just that is, from what I understand from the Gibson guys, which I'm always sort of one, is that's what you do. You get the nut. Start there.
I've noticed. Have you had work done on the 330 for the nut?
I've had a lot of work done on that guitar.
Okay. That guitar stays in tune, like pretty.
And it's missing like ferrules around, bushings around the posts of the tuner, and 3 of them.
Yeah,
it's just like, just kind of like wobbling.
I've always been surprised that guitar in particular stays in tune because it has all of the attributes that would make you think that guitar is going to go out of tune.
Yeah, that guitar stays in tune pretty well. The SG stays in tune really well. The Sheraton comes and goes.
Yeah.
Cold weather or like drastic temperature weather is not the weather for that guitar. Like a studio with a really cold air conditioner is going to give it problems too. As it comes on and goes off, etc.
And I mean, you're gonna have some of that, like
stepped on a dog.
Like 5 to 10 cents of change in either direction because of the strings being cold and then heating up when you play them, stuff like that. But to me, it should ideally never be any more than that in a live gig.
Yeah,
So I don't know. It's just like I'm not a genius with all that stuff. So it's really nice to be able to just get an instrument out of the box and go play it and not have to deal with all that shit.
Yeah.
You know? Somebody is needy.
Are you just shutting this podcast down, bro? Okay, so for you, 5 questions. Can you guess which ones they will be?
I know what the first one is.
What's the first one? Ask and answer your own first question.
Metallica or Megadeth?
That is the question.
So for me, it's Megadeth because while I didn't necessarily grow up listening to... I mean, of course, I know like some songs from each band.
Yeah, sure. If you were alive and heard radio music in the 90s,
exactly.
You heard Countdown or Symphony of Destruction from Countdown to Extinction and Sweating Bullets from Megadeth. You definitely heard those 2 songs.
Yeah.
If you're at all a guitar rock player, and you definitely heard Enter Sandman, Wherever I May Roam, and Sad But True, and Nothing Else Matters from that same period when radio was the biggest it ever was.
But I say
those songs.
I say Megadeth because Megadeth influenced the bands that I grew up listening to. Being like Mastodon and kind of like not necessarily directly like Opeth or Dillinger Escape Plan, but like certainly they influenced them more, from what I can tell, than Metallica did.
Yeah.
Sonically.
Sure.
So yeah, Megadeth.
That's a good choice. I love both. The second question is live or session?
Man, it's such a hard one.
Both have their merit, for sure.
I guess it depends on... It depends on the role that I would play in a session. Are you talking like just session guitar player?
Yeah.
It also depends on the band that I'm playing with live.
Factors aside.
Yeah.
You have to make a choice.
I know. And I've heard this question so many times.
The proverbial gun.
I still couldn't.
To have to decide sucks. So you just got to figure out which arm you want to cut off.
Okay, I'll say it like this. I think that like the most ideal of either situation, live creates the highest highs. Like the excitement, the like, hair standing up on the back of your neck moment.
Sure.
Happens way more often to me in a live setting than in a studio setting. But the like overall satisfaction of like, I created something, here's this thing that will live forever. I got to like craft the aesthetic of an artist.
Yeah.
That comes from the studio thing. And
sure.
It's damn near a tie. I'm just going to say live. I will say live because I think that the most inspirational musical moments of my life have been in a live setting, either as an audience member or a player.
Totally. So you have an amp, you have a guitar.
Yeah.
You have to go do a gig and you get one pedal. What's the pedal?
What's the amp and guitar?
Whatever you choose.
Whatever I choose.
I mean, probably not a Dumble because the reality of you actually playing a Dumble is a lot lower, but I'll give you pretty much anything else.
Yeah.
Maybe Robin Ford decides he likes you and lets you borrow one of his.
Yeah.
No, I'll give you whatever, man.
Damn, man.
But this is if Kirk Franklin calls you or Dierks Bentley, like it's the same rig. You got to go do either of these gigs.
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, if the amp doesn't have a reverb on it, then I'm either taking a delay pedal or a reverb pedal because there's a bunch of situations where I absolutely hate being completely dry.
Totally understand.
If I have an amp that has reverb on it, then I'm turning the reverb up to 2, and I would take a whatever makes that sound. You're an ass, dude. I'm taking some sort of like preamp style pedal, be it I would say either the J-Rocket Archer or the Exotic RC.
Those are good choices. Yeah. My fourth question is, you're on a desert island. You get 3 records. Tell me what they are. Don't think about it.
Okay. It would be Kurt Rosenwinkel Reflections. It would be Texas Flood.
Okay.
And man, I'm trying to go through like just the, you said just off the top, it would be Beck Morning Phase.
Those are great choices. I think that is a good outline of you, which I think that the quicker you can come up with those is just kind of like,
that was just off, you said totally. Without hesitation. I mean, I could maybe come up with a list I felt.
Yeah, but that's not the list that I want.
Yeah, straight off the top of my head. Reflections is my first choice.
Always, no matter what.
I mean,
it's your 1-1.
I spent so much time with that record. There's I don't think that there's a single moment in that record that I don't like. It's, as far as a jazz guitar trio record goes,
sure,
just perfect. Compositionally and everything.
Right.
Texas Flood is the record I spent the most time with in my childhood, probably. And I think Sea Change, or not Sea Change, I said Morning Phase.
Yeah.
I consider those two kind of like on the same continuum, right?
I do, but they're like 10 years apart.
They are, but they're I mean, I would say that Morning Phase is the refined version of Sea Change. And it's a refined version of...
Sea Change was a total sea change for him.
It was,
musically.
Yeah. I think it was a sea change for the general like compositional aesthetic of certain artists. Like, I mean, Golden Hour would not have happened for Casey Musgraves as a record without Sea Change or Morning Phase. That record, to me, it sounds incredibly influenced by that. And there's so many other artists that you could say that about for that record.
Sure. Beck is largely influential. He's been doing a lot of really cool, different music for 3 decades.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely, those are all
plays 14
records,
instruments.
But particularly that record for me, in terms of like, a lot of times if an artist, particularly like somebody that it has more acoustic leanings, that's kind of like my go-to aesthetic of like just a foundation of a record if I'm like producing something, or a lot of times even if I'm writing something.
Sure.
And I listen to that record at least 10 times a year.
It's a great record. I spent a lot of time with it when it came out. It was like 2014, 2015.
Damn, was it that late?
Yeah. Okay. I lived here.
Morning Phase, right? Yeah. Sea Change was like 2004.
No, I think it was even. I might have been 2000.
Really? Yeah.
I don't know. I could be wrong about that.
Man, they're both so good, though.
They are great. My favorite Beck records are Odelay and The Information too. But I love Morning Phase. Odelay was, arguably his most influential record, just because it could not escape 2 turntables and a microphone or Devil's Haircut for a couple of years, man. Great record. I love it. Lindon, my final question. Here we are. We have made it to the King's Court. This is just some of the cheesiest shit I've ever thought of, but that's what it is. And
I love it. I love it.
So the King's Court. In the King's Court, you must choose between Freddie, BB, Albert, or X?
Okay, so
King's X.
This is
anybody was confused by that.
Easy choice for me, because he's from Mississippi, and I saw him not too long before he died. It'd be B.B. King. It'd be B.B. King.
It would be B.B. King?
Yeah. It would be the Better Business Bureau King.
B.B. King.
No, I mean, I saw him live. I had been a fan for a long time as a kid. He's from Mississippi, so I got those, just I
same geography,
I can't,
bro.
Yeah, I mean, I can't not support something from Mississippi.
I get it.
I love all those other people. I saw, as we kind of talked about earlier in the week, I saw King's X in Mississippi, in Hattiesburg.
Doug
very
Pinnick
randomly
name,
on USM's campus. But yeah, B.B. King, man, he's
a monster.
Undeniable, man.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
I love Live at Cook County, man. That's everybody's. Was it Live at the Regal? That is like, it's the one that Clapton always talks about.
But Cook County is the one. Is that Cook County Jail?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's the record that is like credited as the creation of like the overdrive sound.
Really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, that's his best record too.
Yeah, I agree. That would be my favorite.
How Blue Can You Get? Oh man. What a great version.
But yeah, man, he was.
And that's the one. That's the version that Primitive Radio Gods sampled, and that John Mayer is quoting in.
Ever since the day we met.
Yeah.
That thing. Yeah. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about that one time. You showed me that. Where the
Primitive Radio Gods. The song is called "Standing Outside of a Phone Booth" or something like that.
I don't know that one.
Well, I'll show it to you after this, and I'll put a link in the show notes. That's where I first heard it. It was like a radio song, and it's like it's definitely like a sample collage. It's sampley Brit pop, I think, as a matter of fact. But the chorus is just a B.B. King sample. I've been downhearted, baby. I've been downhearted, baby. Ever since the day we met.
Yeah, you sing it way better than I did.
Ever since the day we met. And they just they phrase it. They take his singing and phrase it differently, where the pulse of the music is. It's actually very cool. And then obviously the "Still Feel Like Your Man." He puts it in the breakdown of that song. It's badass. Well,
also,
great answer, by the way. No, go ahead.
That record from John Mayer is, ever since you showed me that record, man, I like it more than Continuum, to be perfectly honest.
I think I do too, but Continuum was still it's everyone's favorite record, but it's not my favorite. I like Battle Studies a lot.
Dude, Battle Studies is great. I recognize why Continuum is everybody's favorite. It's not as guitar-y
as Continuum.
I mean, I get it. I get why Continuum is Continuum. But
it's some really next level guitar playing on Continuum for John.
Yeah, sure. And also how many songs charted from that album?
Yeah, I don't know, but three or four.
A ton, a lot, more than the typical album, and especially for somebody who's
just got through being super soft rock.
Yeah, he had this breakout record that's just I don't know that I understand.
Run through the halls of my high school.
Right.
Yeah, I love that.
Or record. Your Body is a Wonderland or whatever.
See, I respect that song. Sure. I don't like it.
I mean, I don't.
It's like one of one John Mayer songs that I don't want to listen to.
I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't like it, but if we're talking about all of his other material, it's kind of inconsequential,
No offense to John Mayer, who I am just a huge fan of, but I skipped that song.
Yeah, that's fine. You can't like them all,
and I don't. I don't like all of Rush's songs either. There is one Rush song that I don't care for.
What song?
It's called "Kid Gloves."
You're gonna have to show it to me after this.
I will. It's just not good. But hey. Everybody swings and a miss. One song and 27 studio albums. So
yeah, right.
I'll give it to you.
It's a pretty good record.
Well, Lindon McCarty on Guitarty on McCarty, however I end up saying it.
Somebody said McSharty on a gig the other day.
McSharty, that's good. Lindon McSharty on Guitarty. I just sounded like I was talking about the movie Get Shorty, but I was from Ireland. Get Shorty.
You sounded like you're smelling biscuits.
I don't get that, but
having a stroke.
Oh well, that's no. You smell burnt toast.
Yeah,
those aren't the same thing.
I mean, not when you have such a refined palate as yours.
One is delicious. The other thing is burned.
All right,
but yeah,
I've never had a stroke. So
I haven't either. Although yesterday, sitting at the bar in the Phoenix airport, me and Aaron, and there's a guy sitting on the other side of her, and I was like, I looked over to Aaron and I said, "Do I smell burning paper?" And she's like, "I don't know." And the guy sitting next to her is like, "Yeah, I smell that." And I was like, "Phew!" I thought maybe I was having a stroke or something for a second.
Yeah.
Well, Lindon McCarty on McCarty. Cheers, bro.
Cheers, brother.
Good year. You'll be back. We'll be back. Everyone's back again. Tell your friends about this show. Tell your parents. Tell your dogs. Talk to your dogs. Walk your dogs. Talk to your dogs on the walk about this podcast while you're listening to it. And then follow, like, share, send money. Send beer, send T-shirts. I'm looking into T-shirts. Going to try to get some T-shirts going soon, so people can support this podcast and help me pay for beer. And this won't come out after Christmas, but Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. Be safe if you're not gigging on New Year's Eve, and
be safe if you are gigging on New Year's.
Just be safe. Try not to be a dick, and don't forget to check us out next week with another episode of Gear and Beer.
Yeah, buddy. We're pointing again. Is this the part where we fade?
Yeah, probably.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Gear and Beer podcast. Make sure and subscribe and turn on notifications for our channels, and if you haven't already, follow our Instagram and YouTube channels. We truly appreciate your support and ask that you please tell anyone you know whom you think might be interested in our podcast about Gear and Beer to help us grow and continue bringing in great guests from around the industry and beyond. Thanks again. And until the next episode.